Hi, everybody. This is Dan Cirucci. And just as promised, it's 8 o'clock, and I'm live here with New Jersey State Senator Ed Durr, also known affectionately as Ed the Trucker. Senator, how are you?
I'm doing well, Dan. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fine, and we're here with less than a week to go before this primary that you're facing. I'm just going to do a quick check and make sure that we are live on Facebook and that we are on Twitter. And on Facebook, I'm going to, yes, there we are on Facebook. I'm going to set this up so that anybody can see it. I'm going to put audience public so that it can be seen by the public. And you can also go to my Facebook page and you can see it there and you can share it so that anybody can see it on your Facebook page as well. And I'm going to go to Twitter and and there we are live on Twitter. So we are now live on Facebook and Twitter. I'm also going to put this on my blog at dancirucci.com, which is my website. And it's also going to be on my YouTube channel so that everybody can see it. Okay, so we're a week out from the primary. You have opposition in the primary. Did you expect to be fighting this primary battle, Senator?
Uh, I had hoped not, but I kind of had that feeling from the very beginning of last year.
So you ran on a ticket with the person who's running against you now. What
Yes.
happened? What happened?
Uh, just I guess difference of views of opinion.
But from my reading the background of it, you don't have there aren't a lot of differences between the two of you on the issues, or are there?
Well, I mean, the difference is that I I am just a common man, and for her, that's beneath her. She's never really considered me somebody fitting of the job, as her quote said, "I'm unfit."
Well, you can, folks, you can see I'm eating popcorn because Senator Durr always makes a joke about me eating popcorn. And since I am talking to the common man, so to speak, here at the trucker, I'm just going to be very informal and eat popcorn while I'm chatting with him. And you'll notice he's sitting in front of a sign that says basically no U turns. And that's, I guess, you're sending us a message there, huh?
Well, it's no turning back.
Right. There's no turning back. And, you know, I call Senator Ed Durr the original giant slayer, okay? Because, Senator, you came along, nobody even knew who you were. You were, it was almost like a stealth campaign, but it wasn't a stealth campaign. It wasn't an under the radar campaign 2 years ago. It was simply a campaign that nobody in the media was covering. Nobody was covering it.
No, nobody cared because nobody gave me a legitimate shot. I mean, some say that Sweeney paid me no mind, but Sweeney did. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, they ran, commercials against me. They ran mailers against me. They
Mhm.
did Facebook opposition against me. It wasn't that the Senate president didn't pay me no mind. He clearly spent money and he worked. We were just able to motivate. I mean, he himself said it. 12,000 more people came out and voted in that election.
Mhm.
We
And
knocked a lot of doors.
and he spent a lot of money.
I was told $2.5 million.
Even now, 2 years later, is absolutely astounding. Now, you went out and knocked on doors. You've explained this to me before. You spoke to people. You you said that when you met people doing all this shoe leather work that you did on the street, going from door to door, and I thought this was so revealing and something that every politician should listen to. You said that when you met people at their homes, the first thing did was you let them talk. You let them talk.
Well, I mean, they don't want to hear me tell them, "Oh, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to go do that and I'm going to do this for you." No, they want to express what they want from government because it's the government of the people, for the people, by the people. So I'm going to let them speak and tell me exactly what they are expecting of me, and we're going to see if we have common ground and
And
with the
you and
common
you
beliefs.
and you basically listened. You
I
listened to
listened
what
to
these
my
people
constituents, and I heard their screams, and a lot of
and
their
what were they
screams. I
telling you? What were
Well,
they
it depended on what area you went to, and it depended on who you would come across.
Mhm,
If it was a young family, it was always around the kids and the education, the COVID lockdowns, with the kids not
mhm,
being in school. Now with the school curriculum, as we go out, you had those. When you had it with other individuals who maybe couldn't find a job, you have New Jersey's economy that has one of the worst business environments in the nation, and then you
right.
have the older folks who are concerned about retirement and
Right.
retiring here and being able to afford things. So it had a vast variety, and then different communities. Like we have a community in that runs from Woodbury Heights and to Mantua and Glassboro, and they have a line called the GCL, the Glassboro Camden line. Nobody wants it, and I agree with them. There's multitudes of reasons why it's a bad line. Besides
You mean the extension,
they
the
want to
light
run like a
bulb.
Patco line right through the heart of these towns, and it's a money waste. There's no ridership. It would be an environmental hazard. It's a safety problem because it cuts towns in half. It's just bad. It's just bad altogether.
From Camden to Glassboro.
Yeah, and so these are the things that when I was out campaigning, and I had
Mhm,
many people helping me along with me, was one of my good friend who is commissioner and now running for Senate in D4, Nick DeSilvio. He and I went out constantly, and we kind of fed off each other. If I didn't feel like going out that night, he would prod me to go out, and then vice versa. Because
mhm,
we kept each other motivated and going. Because
mhm.
trust me on this, Dan, it gets very tiresome to go out every night because I was also still working a full time job, which now my hours are cut back a little because I have the
Right.
Senate, but I was working 70 hours a week driving a truck and campaigning. So it
And
was,
he's facing a primary challenge now too, Nick
he's
DeSilvio.
facing a primary challenge also, yes.
Now,
But we are the endorsed candidates we receive the
right.
county line.
Well, all right. This is your district is a district that has is it most of Gloucester County,
Yeah, I would say a good swath of
a
Gloucester
good
County.
chunk of Gloucester County.
All of the river towns on Gloucester County, all the river
Okay.
towns.
And then part of Salem and part of Cumberland.
No, all of Salem, all of
All of
Salem,
Salem.
and
And
then
then Cumberland.
the western side of Cumberland. The six towns in Cumberland are Greenwich, Stoke Creek, Shiloh, Hopewell Township, Upper Deerfield, and Deerfield.
Okay, you folks, as you can see, this is a man who knows his district. He knows his territory. He knows the people there, and he knows what they're concerned about, and what's on their minds, and what's worrying them, what may be keeping them up at night. Okay, now you've been endorsed by the regular Republican organization, official Republican organizations of Gloucester County and Cumberland. You have the organization line, which in New Jersey, if you know
And
everything,
Salem County also. I won the convention for Salem County.
and you won the convention for Salem County.
Yes.
So I can't figure out why your opponent is running against you. Now, she she was going to support somebody who was going to run against you, but he dropped out. And so then she went in. It's almost like she was so interested in having that person dropped out. She was so interested in having someone run against you that she went and decided to run against you.
Well, she made her bed, so she had to lie in it because once she lost the convention in Salem County and the commissioner dropped out, she had no recourse but is to either give up altogether or take on the run against me. And so she
Because you
chose.
said you would not take her back. She was your running mate
Well,
the first.
we had already at that point we had already added Tom Tedesco to our ticket, and it
Okay.
would not be fair and right to cut him loose. You know,
Right.
this man stepped up and he took on the challenge of joining a ticket, knowing he was going to be into a fight, and he accepted that challenge to run with Beth Ann McCarthy Patrick and I. So
Right. And you had
Tom
given
was a
your
good
word.
man, and that would not be the right thing to do to just cut
Right.
him loose. You know,
You had given your word that he would be
yes,
on the ticket. He was your partner, and you were running with these two people, and that was it.
that was it. We made our agreement, and we are moving full force.
Now, let me ask you: you're on the ground again. You're talking to people. Are you getting a good reception from people this time around?
Again, Dan, I love this kind of stuff. I'll admit it's tiresome. It gets really hard on the, especially I'm not a young spry man anymore, so walking can be a little bit of a
Mm-hmm.
difficulty. But I love getting going the door to door and hearing people. And yes, the interactions is just overjoyed, especially now more than ever because now people know who I am and they are just excited. They're excited to come out and vote again, and they're looking forward to it. They're not happy about the primary, but they understand these things happen, and they're just going to be ready to make their voices heard.
So you feel they're motivated.
I, based on my reaction of what I've experienced, I believe that the people are motivated to vote. Yes.
And the regular Republican organizations in your district, they're motivated as well. In other words, we're talking about
Yes.
the rank and file, the rank and file.
Yes. Yes. We have a
Well,
good ticket, Dan. We have a good ticket with myself at the top of the ticket with Beth Ann McCarthy Patrick, Tom Tedesco. We have a surrogate candidate in Steve Baudelaire. We have three commissioners in Frank Fisher, Eric Anderson, and Brooke Ravello. And then we have multitudes of committees across in different towns, committee council seats running. We have one of my own office staff is running for committee in Mantua Township, Courtney Brackett, and she has
uh-huh.
worked very hard. So I'm looking forward to this.
So now your opponent has made a lot of noise about, why that you haven't debated her. Why haven't you debated her?
Well, Dan, there was, I don't see any reason to be running a debate. I have not hidden from any questions. My
Mhm.
record is out there exactly where I stand on the issues. Plus, the debate demand by your friend was at on a Sunday night in Philadelphia. I work all day Sunday, and then I get up early Monday. Really, at 10 o'clock at night, I'm supposed to show up in Philly when I'm in bed by 8 o'clock on a Sunday.
Right. And you also said that you you don't disagree on a lot of basic issues with this person, and you have tried. You said you've tried not to speak ill of other Republicans.
Well, I'm a firm believer in the 11th commandment, Dan, and so I try not to do that. But I'm not going to allow somebody to tarnish me without fighting back. And
Mhm.
I heard the other day that she referred to me as a coward, and a coward is somebody who won't stand true to their convictions. I at least will hold true to my convictions, and I do so with my legislation that I offer. I've made promises and I stayed with it. I support the parents' right of
Right.
school choice. Support the parents' right of the have being informed of the school curriculum. Where my opponent does not support these bills, she has not signed on to them. She could have taken the bills that I have in the Senate
Right.
and copied them into the assembly. She won't do it. She's also said that this is wasteful, and we shouldn't be bothering pushing this agenda, that it'll never move. Well, I'm sorry. I'm a conservative and I believe in conservative values, and I don't think pushing a conservative value is a wasteful agenda. I'm going to continue to fight for my values.
Senator, there was for a long time, and there is, I think there still is among Republicans, this attitude of go along to get along. I see it as the mentality of what I call country club Republicans. They're genteel Republicans. They don't want to get down dirty. With the opposition. I'm talking now about the Democrat opposition, which is what we should be fighting. And when somebody comes along who takes that tack, they seem to feel that it's somehow unseemly. You don't feel that it's unseemly.
I feel that I should stay to my true core of who I am. I
Uh-huh.
believe in the values. I'm pro life, pro Second Amendment.
Right.
I believe in God, and I believe in the family, and I'm going to continue to hold true to my values. I believe in the free market. I believe in a lot of things, and I'm not going to change these beliefs because, oh, we should just get along with the other side, or we should just play. I
Well,
don't dispute that. Given the fact that we are in the minority, we have to
right.
learn to work with the majority. I'm
Right.
hoping that might change this year. I have my fingers crossed. We have, an opportunity at hand. There are some vulnerable seats that could make a difference, and we could gain majority,
Right.
and that would be great. But I am able to have a communication with my opposition, with the Democrats. It doesn't mean that we can't communicate, but I'm still not
Right.
going to relinquish my values of what I believe in.
Or your principles.
Exactly.
You're not going to broker away your principles. And yes, we can gain seats, and I hope that we do. But I'm wondering, Senator, how we're going to gain them by fighting one another. How do
Well,
you gain them by fighting one another? What my fear is exactly what I said when our friend Jesse Kurtz gave his uh, breakfast event at the League of Municipalities several months ago. I said, if we keep fighting like this, we're going to be fighting over who gets the right to lose.
well, I actually thought about that. There. Do you remember the line in Braveheart when after they had the great victory and they were in the hall, and then all the Scottish men were talking, and then they started arguing about who is the rightful king and everything, and then Mel Gibson walks away, and then they say, well, "Where are you going, Wallace?" And he says, "Well, you guys are so worried about arguing over the scraps that you've missed your God-given right that you should be able to fight for what's rightfully yours." Well, yeah, I'm not going to argue over scraps. I believe that I have a right to certain things, and I'm going to fight for those things.
Now, your opponent has criticized you that you put your name on a lot of bills, but not many of them, hardly any of them got passed. How do you respond to that?
Well, it doesn't change nothing. The bills are the bills. You won't know if you can get them passed unless you try. You have to try. It doesn't matter how many times you go up to the plate. If you get a hit, you get a hit. So
And as a conservative, you did not represent to your constituents that you were going to Trenton to pass a lot of new laws. You represented them that you were going to go there to fight for the values and principles
exactly.
that they wanted you to fight for. The other thing is that I think is being missed here is how many legislators in their first 2 years, freshman legislators, uh, have any of their bills enacted.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't know that offhand, but there's the caveat to that is that we are in the minority too.
Right.
So that but that being said, the actuality is that there has been 13 bills that have been signed into law that my name is on as a co-sponsor,
Mm-hmm.
and one that I'm a co-prime, which is more than what she has. But that's why it's so funny when she makes the statement that I've been unable to get anything done. I have individuals who are going to be turned into superior court judge in this district.
Yeah, I know
That
you've
that
helped to move a
was
lot of. Yeah.
by my signing off on them. The commissioner of the DOJ
Mm-hmm.
was through my signing off. There are things. I was able to secure funds for Pennsville in Riverview Park to get a grant. I was able to get money for Pennsgrove for the redevelopment. Just recently, the Assemblywoman, myself, and Commissioner Ed Ramsey of Salem County, we went out to an area where it's been considered a high traffic issue, and there's been multitudes of accidents that have taken place over the course of the years. And I was able to reach out to the DOT and talk to the commissioner, and they are going to do the study, and they are going to commit to 75% of whatever the study requires being done, whether it be a traffic light, four-way stop, whatever. But these are the things, you know, people say, I hear her say all the time, not getting anything done, but there are things getting done. But I just don't go out bragging about it because I don't care about the glory. It's just getting the job done.
And I know that you've been a strong advocate. You've joined with our friends, Senator Mike Testa and Senator Joe Panaccio and others for parental rights. Okay.
Absolutely.
Uh, what's happening in our schools and the threat to our children, the pushing of this extreme progressive agenda. Somebody's got to champion the other
Absolutely.
side, speak up.
Well, you've seen recently how Hanover School District had just passed, where the board would, advise the parents, and now the governor is suing them, and myself and Senator Panaccio, wrote a letter and condemning them for going after them, and we will fight for them. That's first off. I don't believe that the governor should be telling us a local school board they shouldn't be informing parents about their child's education or what's going on in school. That is
a child identifying as the opposite
well,
sex.
and that in all of that, yes, and this is the governor, and now he's going to sue them and threaten them with funding where they've already suffered funding cuts based on the governor's, budget plans. And in a time right now where the governor has a piggy bank that he could make a full funding of the schools, he's cut funding. So this is where, I'm not going to stand down and be quiet. I'm going to push back.
and
I
and the
continue to
in,
push back.
and the inequitable funding of schools under the Abbott rules,
Yes,
uh,
we
where
definitely need to rework this funding program.
a lot of school, particularly suburban and rural school districts, are not getting their fair share. They're not getting their fair share, and this certainly applies to your district.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. My district is one of the worst in the and it wasn't just because of me being elected. It's been this way for a long time.
mhm, mhm. Now, I know you've also joined with Congressman Mandrew and other legislators from what we call the real South Jersey. I was calling it South Jersey, to protect our shore areas and our beaches and our tourist economy from these wind turbines.
Absolutely, yes. The governor and his people are so adamant and saying they know that these whales and the porpoises are not being caused by the surveying, but they don't know what's causing it. They're positive it's not the surveying, but they don't know what's causing it. I mean, it, Dan, I'm sure you do not recall ever experiencing this. That we're in the what 30 or some, maybe 40. The whales and porpoises have washed up since last December. That is just record breaking, and this is
And
what we're seeing on the surface. We have
the
no idea
latest
what's going
reports
on in
are
the ocean.
the latest reports are that great white sharks are coming very close
Yeah,
to the shoreline
yeah. So
as we in the most important season for New Jersey tourism. Okay, is just now beginning, and the merchants down there who had suffered through the pandemic, the two whole seasons were basically wiped out. They're looking to try to make some money this summer, and that all inures to the benefit of our state. And down the road, the thought of these monstrous windmills off the coast. It
well, I'm a nuclear guy actually, Dan. I,
mhm,
I I'm not opposed to wind turbines or solar. I just don't
right,
think it's going to provide the power that we need. There's
right.
nothing wrong with if you want to have a supplement added to. That the thing is, the wind turbines are not required to meet the same requirements as nuclear or coal or gas. You got to be an 85% efficiency where they have to be no better than 30%. Well, we know that they're not going to provide the power we need. So we're only asking ourselves to end up with the brownouts and blackouts in the future.
Mhm,
Now, I believe that we need to invest more into nuclear power, into
mhm.
natural gas. We should be promoting these industries. And these are safer and cleaner, and they're not going to destroy our coastline or
Instead,
our
we
fishery.
instead we have to worry about the state eventually banning gas stoves.
Oh,
I mean, the
oh, wait,
governor.
wait, wait. But Dan, if you know somebody and you are the right person, you can get a special waiver by the governor because you might be a special chef or a cook or something. You know,
And
because they're doing that in New York.
if people think that the governor might not try to ban gas stoves, then they haven't remembered very well what it was like during the lockdown. The immense power that this governor wielded, and he seemed to delight in it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. He enjoys his power, and he wanted more. That with the just recent bill that was passed, the so-called Election Transparency Act, which
Right.
has no transparency in it, and actually gave the governor more power over the election board, so that elect supposedly being a, you know, separate entity, now he gets to appoint the person whenever he wants to and take him and fire him whenever he wants to. So if he doesn't get the answers he wants out of the commissioner,
So there's going to be election.
this is not a person who believes in transparency. This is a person who hides things. I mean, we still have yet, to get the investigation that Senator Pinocchio has been asking for into the COVID deaths in the nursing home. We've asked for that, for to have a Senate
Veterans
investigation
homes and
with,
nursing homes.
subpoena power.
As I understand it, the Democrats, when this all started, they promised that there would be a bipartisan investigation. They assured, see, this is why I'm suspicious of Republicans who say, well, let's go up there and try to work with them and let's make some compromises. And before you know it, this much of a compromise turns into this much of a compromise. I don't have anything against compromises, but when they're all one way, which is the Democrat way, then I'm a little suspicious. Now, these people said, yes, we'll have an investigation. There'll be a bipartisan investigation of this. Did it happen?
No. But they did do an investigation with Governor Murphy's hired people. So how do you think that turned out?
They hired I believe, a very prestigious Philadelphia law firm. I happen to know a little bit about the Philadelphia law firms as I worked for them for 30 years. And that law firm made a hell of a lot of money. And they produced a report that basically said what they wanted, what the governor wanted it to say.
Exactly. That's what you got. And nobody went to jail. Nobody suffered any consequences. Nobody was, fired or over this. But yet we have nearly 10,000 deaths that should not have probably happened.
And I also have to fault the media on this because I feel it's a story they never legitimately.
No, they never went after. There's multitudes of stories that they continue not to go after, but they'll, it's the same old. Look at what the right hand's doing and ignore the left hand. That kind of thing. They always run with another story.
Now, Senator, I know you're also concerned about those big warehouses that are going up. If you ride down that way through the counties that you represent, you're seeing more and more of these things are monstrous.
See, here's the thing. I'm not opposed to warehouses.
Right.
I'm opposed to where the warehouses are being located.
There you go.
See, I'm okay because warehouses bring rateables, bring jobs, bring money. I'm okay with that. Let's put them in the right locations. Let's stop eating up all our farmlands. Let's stop putting them in the middle of towns where kids are, where school buses ride and everything. I mean, these are the things. I actually presented a bill. I wrote a bill that would put the power in the hands of the residents to decide whether the warehouse is built in their backyard, so to speak. Because I said no warehouse could be built within 5,000 feet of an existing home without the permission of the homeowner.
It sounds like a reasonable idea.
I think it's a very reasonable idea. It doesn't give the government any power over the residents. The residents have the power. Whereas my opponent actually wants to take the power away from communities and municipalities and put it into Trenton and let the Trenton decide. So that these are the different things. But it's like I said, I think the warehouses can be a good thing, but they're also being a bad thing where they're locating it. Mm-hmm. So this is something that each resident has to understand, that right now it still is in the hands of their municipality and it's in their elected officials, and they need to voice their opinion. But
On the edge of residential areas, and I've read some stories about this, on people they don't have expensive houses. Their home is everything to them, and the people are rightfully concerned when these things come up against their residential communities.
exactly, and I have continued to try to find out how we can do this, but again, this is each individual municipality, and I believe it should stay with the municipalities or the individuals. I don't think the Trenton should be making the decision, but again, like I said, the bill that I presented doesn't give it the power to Trenton; it gives back actually more power to the resident, and that's what I
And
believe. I think the people should have a
this to
say in what
me,
goes on.
this to me is a basic tenet of what we call home rule, local rule,
Exactly.
home rule. Why elect local officials if you're not going to give them the ability to respond to the people and have some power? And this is what our legislators should be doing. They should be working with the local officials and supporting the localities, like you told me. Different places that you go have different concerns. Different municipalities, localities, townships, boroughs, whatever they are, have different concerns. And you try to be receptive and responsive to those concerns.
Right, because like I said, I don't want to say that you don't want the warehouse because there are certain towns that are going to want the warehouses because it does bring in jobs, it brings in revenue, rateables. But then on the other side of it, a lot of people move into these locations, these rural locations, to get away from stuff like this, and then to have it, they buy their homes, they have nice homes, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, a few years later, they got a warehouse showing up right around the corner from them. Nobody
Mhm,
wants to have that fall upon them.
mhm, mhm.
So,
What, so, what do you think the biggest issue is here, Senator, if you had to put it in a nutshell?
what do you mean? The biggest issue in South Jersey or about the warehouse?
No, let's get away from the warehouses for a second. The biggest issue in this campaign, in this primary campaign that you're going into the final days of, because I'm going to try to summarize all of this here. So, what do you think is the biggest issue here?
For the residents or between myself and my opponent?
Let's say between you and your opponent. Let's do that one first.
Well, her biggest issue that I hear all the time is that she believes I'm unfit, that I'm unqualified. So that's what I hear that she states. So my issue with that would be that she's basically saying that the will of the people who voted for me is unfit and unqualified. See, to me, it rings of Hillary's deplorable.
Yeah, those
That,
people
that,
that
that
she's dismissing those people. They didn't know what they were
yes,
doing.
she's dismissing the people who voted for me and saying that she knows better.
Right.
So that I have trouble with because the voters know what they're doing.
And
So
these
as
these
far as the region goes, again, like I said, there's a multitude, but I think it still comes down to freedom and protection of the family of a whole. Because no matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, if you have a child, that is your most valuable commodity, and that's the thing you care about the most. And when the government starts telling you that it's their child, they're the carers, and that you have no say in it, that angers people. And so, for the area in itself, in the district, I think people want somebody who's willing to fight back. You got a lot of people who are angry and they want to be heard and they want to fight them. And that's me. That's Beth Ann. That's Tom. We're fighters. And I'm telling you, we'll continue to fight for the people.
so that's touching a nerve with people. That's really touching a
Absolutely.
nerve with them. You're getting that back from the people that's
Oh,
really touching.
absolutely. Like I said, going out now, I'm not so much having to introduce myself and explain myself as much as they know who I am, they know where I stand, and they are actually. I'll be honest with you, Dan. Most of the time when I knock on the door, they just say, "Thank you for fighting for us. Thank you." Nobody's been doing that for us for years, and that's all they do. And I just thank them for, voting for us and trusting us that we will continue to do the right thing for them.
I know you told me that, and you've mentioned it during this interview, that on the nights before legislative sessions, you take this very seriously. You go to bed early so you can be prepared and ready and rested to represent the people.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I can't get to bed as early as I'd like to, because a lot of times before like a committee or a vote session, I'll get the bills that day, and
Uh,
I try to read as many as I can.
right,
I'll be honest, I don't get to read through every one of them because it's
right.
just they run so many bills and they wait till the last minute. Dan, I'm telling you, it angers me why they do this.
Well, I think the reason is obvious. They don't want, it's like what Nancy Pelosi said. You,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah. Well, we
read the
have to
bill
pass
after
it
you
to
vote.
know what's in it.
Yeah, we have to pass the bill to know what's in it. So, in other words, yeah, you can read the bill. You can read it after we turn it into law. Then you can read it all you want.
Right. Well,
Otherwise,
I want to know what is going on, and so I try and do my very best. I will not say that I'm perfect. I'm sure I've made mistakes in my first year and a half that people will
right.
say, "Oh, well, you screwed this up or you screwed that up," and I'm sure I have,
Uh-huh.
but. I'm
This,
not. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm not a perfect man. As far as I know, there's only been one perfect man to walk the face of the earth, and I'm not him.
well, Senator, I got to tell you, this has been so refreshing to chat with you and hear you be so candid and open. You've given us a real window into what these couple of years have been like for you. And, I'm sure it was uh, an upheaval in your life, a dramatic change. And folks, I want to tell you, as I know Ed Durr, this is a salt of the earth type of guy. Okay, who it's you strike me as a sort of citizen public servant. And I know you don't want to climb up aboard a high horse
No,
or be considered anything other than what you are.
it, for me, I hate when, or I shouldn't use the word hate. I I don't like that word politician because with it, everybody looks at it as a dirty word. So I
Right.
try. I Until we can turn politician into a honorable word again. I
Mhm.
want people to consider me their elected representative because I'm their representative. And as I've said before, I work for the people, and I will continue. And and don't get me wrong, like I said earlier in the interview, it's it has its grueling days. It's tiresome, but I'll tell you, Dan, I wouldn't trade this for the world because I love working for the people. It is my way of giving back. Because Dan, I never served the military. You know that I don't like to think of things as regrets. I don't. I always think of things as they are what they are. It's what made you who you are. Every choice in my life brought me to where I am now. And I
Mhm.
like the person I am now. I like where I am now. So to change my past would change my present. So I don't like to look at regrets. But if there was ever going to be a regret, not serving our country in the military would be it. But this is
Uh-huh.
my opportunity to rectify that by serving my community in the legislature. So this is
Mhm.
where I feel I've been blessed. You know, God has given me an opportunity to give back, and I want to continue to do that.
Let me end with this final question, Senator. after this primary is over, do you think you're going to be able to put the pieces back together and face your Democratic opponent? I mean, the Democrats are going to have a lot of money. They're determined to try to remove you from that seat. You did something that was unthinkable that you weren't supposed to do, and they're determined to remove you. Do you think you're going to be able to put the party
Well,
and the
it's
organization
not a
back
question
together?
of think. We're going to have to, because for me, Dan, there is no give up. I'm going to fight. I'm gonna go forward and continue to fight, regardless of whatever lies before me, because I can't change what they are going to do, and I will guarantee you this: they will not outwork us. We have a great team. With our team, we have a great team that works hard, and we will get back out there again and knock more doors and more doors and more doors and reach the people. And I just want to say real quick before
Yeah,
you cut
yeah.
off, you know, people often ask me, what am I most proud about in my first term as senator? And the thing that I'm most proud about, Dan, isn't even me. What I'm most proud about is my office, my chief of staff, Tina DeSilvio, my office staff in Maria Noggle, Courtney Brackett, and Rhea Good. These ladies do phenomenal work for the constituents every day. They go out there and they work hard for the people, and they were thrown into this, and they didn't ask for all of this, but they do a great job for never having done any of this. Because I tell you, Dan, going around the community and having somebody tell me, oh, I talked to Maria and she was so wonderful and she helped me with this problem, or Courtney did this for me, or Tina, it's just like, that makes me feel good. It really does. And so I'm very proud of that I get to work with these ladies and be part of something that, because what do they say? Something that's greater than yourself. Well, that is what this is. Our office provides a service to the community, and I just love it.
Well, there are a lot of public servants, Senator, who would not they would take all the credit themselves for anything that their staff members did for constituent services. They want their staff members to be invisible. Okay, that the people who do the grunt work, they want them to be invisible because they want all the attention. I know this as a fact, having been involved in politics all my life. So this is what I'm saying is so refreshing about you. And I met these ladies at the event, Scott Pressler event in Oakland the other night.
Oh
I met,
yeah, yeah.
I met a couple of these ladies, and they were so professional and friendly and helpful. And they gave me their card, and they never met me before, and that was just the way they are.
Nah, I tell you, like I said, I would put my staff up against anybody in the legislature, because these ladies are aces, aces. They're above and beyond anybody. And the assemblywoman in Bethlehem McCarthy Patrick has a great staff too, in Sean Sepsi, Jake Cheeseman, and Noah Ty. Great workers there. They do a great job. They're good guys. They work hard. I mean, we really assembled a really good team. And, like I said, and we added Tom Tedesco to our team this
Right.
year for the run together. And this is, we are, what the saying is, firing on all cylinders. We are running really well.
Well, Senator, this has been a great chat. Of course, I wish you every success. I've been wanting to have this conversation with you. I'm so glad we were able to do it. And I look forward to celebrating with you on election night next week, but even more importantly, in November.
Well, that's it. We're going to continue to work hard. again, I was out this afternoon, and I'll be out tomorrow knocking doors. I'll be out Friday. We're doing a rally Saturday morning, you know, in West Deptford, and then walking all of West Deptford. So we're going to continue to walk, and we're going to walk right up until election day. And then I'm going to go vote, and it'll be God's will what happens.
Okay. I I have a good feeling about it. I have a good feeling about it.
Well, I'll take
So
your good feeling, Dan.
as we say in Italian, avanti, avanti, forward. Let's go forward, Senator. Okay,
All right. I like that. Avanti.
avanti. Yes.
Avanti.
Thank you so much.
All
Like
right,
I
Dan. Thank you very much.
this will be on my dancerucci.com. It's live on Facebook and Twitter. It'll also be on my YouTube channel. Thank you, Senator.
All right.
Good
Well,
night.
if anybody wants to check, Ed the Down.
What is that?
Good night.
Good night.